Hello, I'm Stephen Exley, your Director of Chapter Services, and I'm here with Keith Willard, Director of Member Services, and we are going to give you a little run through on what ASANA is, how it works, and what is happening here. We started utilizing ASANA projects for chapters last school year. We're going to be leaning a little more heavily into that this year. This really functions as your key to these are the things that we need to get done for international. Can be kind of your first stop for a bunch of resource information from us. And so with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Keith to drive here and let him explain what you're looking at and how you can make it work for you.
Thanks, Stephen. As Stephen mentioned, I'm Keith Willard. I'm the Director of Member Services at the Saib Salon International headquarter office in Indianapolis. And I'll probably be probably your main contact. I would say first off, if you have any questions about anything related to Asana, how to maneuver through Asana, how to communicate through Asana. So definitely looking forward to this year really using this. It's a great resource for the chapters to manage your chapters, manage the items that are due to the international office, our communication as well. So we really want to lean into this this year for, like I said, communication, for submitting reports, for keeping track of a calendar of items that you need as you click through, work through your semesters or your quarters every year. We'll start off with just some high-level things. Some of you may have some experience with Asana. For those of you that don't, I will say it is very, very easy to get up to speed on this. This recording hopefully will be very helpful, and we also have some resources built into your chapter project that will help you get up and running, and then also get your executive teams or whoever will be working in Asana, getting them up to speed as well. As we go along here, Stephen, feel free to chime in if there's anything I miss, but we will go ahead and get started. So here shortly in the next day, by the end of this week, I will get each chapter their respective links to their project in Asana, and you can start working through these. So look for that information from me. Real quick, as we start, we go up here, just a few different high-level items. You can go to your home screen up here in the upper left. This is going to give you a view of your tasks as the individual, any projects you might be in, people who are frequent collaborators or who might be working with you in your group. To get back out of this, you can just click onto your chapter project. Another important area you'll want to check is My Tasks. So if you get notifications, that's where you can go in and see any of the tasks that you have, coming up, or overdue that you really need to put some attention to. Check out My Tasks. That would be a great place to go to see what you have to do or what's coming up. And then your inbox here. So any notifications you get anytime something is sent out from myself or your liaison at the national office, you will get a notification here that something might be needed. We need to set up a time to chat. Hey, how are things going? Your inbox will be a great resource to look for things that come from the national office as well. Getting back into Asana, we'll go over some of these items up here, which are really new this year, and I think will be very, very beneficial to all of the the chapters and your groups as you work with Asana. But first, we'll go down and just sort of look at the year here. Starting here, the high level name or title you see there is going to be a subject, and then everything under a subject are the related tasks to that subject. One easy thing to do to sort of help clean up the look and make it not seem so overwhelming. And I promise you, it looks like a lot of information. It's you know, not near as intimidating or as scary as it looks like it will be. But this will give you a feel for how we have things split out for the year to hopefully help make designating and delegating tasks to your fellow team members, you know, to help you get ideas on how to best do that. So we have your shared folder. We'll go through some of these. Your chapter support team, which is going to be who can you contact if you have a question. For both the fall and spring, we just have some general ASANA setup and use check marks and resources that you can use, again, to get up and running with ASANA and to get comfortable with how this platform works. The international events, both in person and virtual, that we'll get into those. That's going to be your Archon town halls, and then your in person, sorry, will be the Archons Academy and convention, and then the international events virtual will be the monthly town halls that we have for the Archons and or the delegate of the chapter that should be on that call. Here we have your fall payments, fall reports that will be due, some tasks related to recruiting and initiation, tasks related to officer elections and transitions, and then just an overall chapter activity log for logging activities and things you do throughout the fall semester or quarter. And then, you know, you can see that we have very similar tasks for the spring and the winter for those schools that are on quarters. So for those of you on semesters, you won't have the winter tasks that you need to worry about, but that is for the schools that are on quarters. So you can minimize these just to get a quick look, or once you get to spring, you know, it's much easier to close down these fall sections and just focus on the current semester or quarter that you're in. So again, we'll go back to, we can open these up, just simply clicking the arrows here. Let's go to the top. Another thing, as you get into each of the tasks, we've worked hard to, once you open these by clicking in this area, you'll see that the pane opens up, and we put a description in every task that it'll explain either what the task where it is, what do we need from you? Is it a report? Is it you know, information about the chapter house? We'll also put links to important information that you will need to help complete those tasks. And we'll look later. We also attach templates that you will need to use for reports. So within these tasks, you'll get a very good idea of the information you will need to complete that task. We'll also get to some where they may not apply to every chapter. So we understand that when we set this up, not every single task applies to every chapter. We'll still want a response to that, but just know nothing's wrong if it doesn't apply to you. But we do, you know, want everybody to go through each of the tasks and make sure that they are completed for the semester. And then, you know, by the end of the year, every task has been completed or at least acknowledged by the chapter. To get out of this, you can either click up here on this arrow, which will take you back to your screen here. Or if you open those up, come back to list, and this is your list view. So working through these, again, one of the first things you're going to want to do as the Archon or the individual that is kind of overseeing or managing the ASANA project is making sure you're getting someone assigned to every task. So by the end of the semester and the end of the year, every task should have someone assigned to it, and it should also have a due date put to it. So we know, and you know, what the expectations are for getting these items completed, getting reports submitted, getting payments, you know, taken care of. So you're moving through the year and you're staying on track and on target with everything that we're asking you to do. So getting into assigning folks, again, the most important thing is going to be getting your officers or the officers that will be working in ASANA, getting them into ASANA or inviting them into ASANA. That's as simple as you go up here in the upper right-hand corner, you will see share. Just click that. Now, they may be in here, but if not, it's as simple as you'll need their emails. Type that in, click invite. And now that individual has been added. Now they'll have to accept that invitation, but make sure you get all of your officers into ASANA or anyone who will be working in ASANA. Make sure you get them added into your project so that they can be assigned tasks and communicate with the group. So once you've got all of your assignees or individuals assigned invited into ASANA, next you want to assign the task based on who will be responsible for that task. So as an Archon, a lot of these at the start of a semester will probably be yourself. So if I'm the Archon, it's as simple as that. You're going to go through, you're going to click on the assigned column or assignee. And that person has been assigned. And when someone is assigned, they'll get a notification that they have been assigned to a task. And then as you can see here in the fall ASANA setup and use, any dates that we know as the international office that we expect these tasks to be completed by or around this time, we've put the date in. Some of these that start with resource, those are strictly a resource. So there is not a need to put, I guess, assign anyone or assign a due date to those. But we do want to make sure that these resources are available. Again, there's instructional videos on how to use ASANA. Simply by clicking here and then clicking this link, you'll be taken to video tutorials for ASANA. And then by clicking the written overviews of how to use ASANA, you'll be taken to the written overviews. Hopefully those came up. So now we'll go through and just kind of talk about each of the sections and the expectations for each of these, letting you know where some of these main resources are that will, again, help you get up and running. Your chapter shared folder link, which once this is shared, there will be your specific link in here, is a great resource for, a repository of information for you in case you need to find an invoice. We'll put all of the invoices that are sent to your chapter will be put into the into your chapter shared folder. Any risk management correspondence that goes out will be put in here. We will also put copies of your membership reports that we review will go into your shared folder. And other important items that will be in your shared folder. There will be an insurance folder where you can find your certificate of insurance, which will probably be required by your institution. There's a folder for the ritual. There's a folder for policies, the policies of the fraternity. So a lot of great information for you to have and to review, both as the Archon and making sure you either review it with or let your executive team know where these resources are. But again, it's a great repository of information that you can go to. And maybe when you initially have a question, check out the shared folder first to see if maybe what you need or what can help guide your questioning is in there. And then certainly anytime reach out to myself or your liaison from the national office to ask any questions you might have. Next, our resource, which is the chapter support team. So In this case, we have Stephen Exley in here, but for each individual chapter, we will have your respective liaison from the international office put in this spot here. So that's going to be the person you talk to and have regular meetings with. Any big, big issues or big items come up, you'll want to talk to this individual. But again, this just lets you know who your contact is, and then this is how you can get in touch with them. Here we have the information on the Undergraduate Advisory Board for this year. And then your international office staff contacts. So as you click any of these individuals, we're at the international office, and we are here to help you. That's why we are here. So really, please never hesitate to reach out through Asana or set up a Zoom, set up, email, text, call. That's why we're here, is to make your job easier, answer the questions you have, and to be a resource for you. So please make sure you use us, as a resource especially as you get up and running, but as you work through the semester and the year. And then the Salon Foundation staff contact information is right here. Moving into, for the fall and the spring, we have this section, but we have, the expectations. So the first expectation would be that, chapter officers will use the platform and respond in a timely manner. And then, like I mentioned earlier, by the end of the academic year, each task that is in your project will have someone assigned to it, and there will be a due date that is associated with that task. And the expectation is you'll be sticking to, those deadlines and those due dates to make sure you're keeping on track with what we need for the year, and making sure, you have any questions answered in advance of those due dates. So it'll allow you to plan with your executive committee, and delegate authority to do these things, and to make your year efficient and effective and as smooth as possible. And like we mentioned before, the second expectation is to just get your brothers or your executive team or whoever's going to be using Asana, get them into your project, invited into Asana. And it's just like we showed you earlier. Click the blue share button in the top right corner and then add them via their email. Next two tasks, again, would be to just assign the due dates for the task. Now, we have put in some predetermined dates. We ask that you not change the predetermined dates. If something does need to change, or maybe your school starts after that designated due date, just make sure to give us a call first, or reach out to us first before you change any of the preset due dates. And we can certainly talk through that if it's a necessity. But please stick to the due dates and use them as the reference for when items and payments and reports should be submitted and completed. And again, once you have everybody invited, just make sure you click the assignee column and get the correct individual assigned to the appropriate tasks in Asana. As far as it comes to Asana and delegating, especially for the archons, it's very important to be thoughtful about who you are assigning to task. We really, for a lot of these, when we get to the actual tasks of the chapter and the responsibilities of the chapter, it should not be the archon doing a lot of these things. Now, as the archon, you should know what is due, when is due, and who should be doing it. But please, delegate, is a word we talk about a lot, and it will be your best friend as you, work through the semester. So make sure you're being thoughtful about who should be responsible for the different tasks that we're asking you to complete. And we talked about the resources for the instructional videos and the written overviews of how to use Asana, which are right here and right here. Moving to the international events in person. Again, these are going to be your in-person events, which is the Archons Academy and the convention. So, here we have, here's the task: register to attend. So make sure you get registered to attend Archons Academy, and make sure by the correct dates you get your 2 delegates for convention registered. For the start of the year, I would make these the Archon. So let's say in this case, I'm the Archon. Once folks have, booked travel, or whoever's responsible for making sure your delegates have booked travel, make sure that they are on top of that. And then down here, when you attend Archons Academy and when you attend convention, you can mark those off as appropriate. Your international events virtual. These are going to be the monthly town halls. Now, this should be the Archon from each chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and put these down as if I'm the Archon. So now I'm aware that these are taking place. These are the first Wednesday of every month. They're going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern, and typically run anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. But these are a great a great time to meet with the leaders of the chapter. So just share what's going on in your chapters, to share issues you're experiencing, because chances are if it's something that you're experiencing in your chapter, somebody else is either also dealing with it or has dealt with it, and you can sort of brainstorm on ideas that might work, or talk about how different things were handled that kind of made things better, resulted in successful outcomes. What I would highly encourage every chapter to do, because these town halls, it's really mandatory, or as close to mandatory as possible, that there's at least one person from every chapter on these calls. Now, the preference is the Archon, but if not an Archon, we would like someone who is in a leadership role, whether it be the vice president, the treasurer, secretary, someone who is in tune with what's going on in the chapter, that can share insights from the chapter within those discussions that we have. Now, another thing we can do here that I encourage folks to do is, when you open up this task, now I'm going to try as the Archon to be at every meeting, but if I can't, I'm going to see if Stephen Exley can join this meeting with me or in my place. So now I've added Stephen as a collaborator. Okay, so now he'll be aware of any communication that goes on regarding this meeting for the Archon town halls. And what I might do is send a note here. So another aspect of Asana that I think is very powerful is we can communicate with you. So the international office can communicate with our chapters through Asana, and likewise the chapters can communicate with the international office through Asana. And while that is, I think it's a great change from what we've done, and it's okay to, email or text. We certainly, any method you want to use to reach out is great, but communicating through Asana allows us to have that, the chain of communication. So in the instance, Stephen has, hit the lottery and we don't hear from him again, we don't have to go digging through his emails or his text to see, hey, where are we at on different things, or, what's the progress on a certain task. When we communicate through Asana, we can go back and review all of our communications. We can review any of the submissions or attachments for reports that were submitted. So, you can just send something to someone. And that could be communications to Stephen through there. And now we can see those communications. So reaching out to the international office through the comment section is a great way to communicate with us. And again, so we have that record of what the conversation has been regarding a specific task, or a meeting that needed to be had, or questions about convention. anything of that nature. So again, make sure on these town halls that you are going ahead and adding a collaborator, someone else who is in the loop with what is going on, or who may need to attend, or who may need to work on a task. So you all can communicate, and we can all communicate with each other. So now we get down to the international office payments. Again, think about who would be the best person to more than likely handle these responsibilities. Is it a treasurer? Is it, someone else in the chapter that's going to be responsible for keeping track of the payments and making payments? So get that person assigned into here. So that's going to be Travis. He's our treasurer. So I'm going to go ahead and assign Travis to all of these. So he's going to be responsible for our member tax payment, risk management payment, make sure that's done. Setting up a payment plan if we need, fall chapter service fee payment, and then our initiation fee once we have initiated our class for that respective semester. And again, being mindful as you work through and assign these to folks, make sure they're aware of the due date as well. And I really think ASANA as a tool, once you get this completed, once you get everyone assigned to a task, once you've nailed down all of the due dates, at the start of every executive committee, if you have an executive team meeting before every chapter, it's a great chance to review ASANA and see, hey, where are we at? What's coming up in a week? What's coming up in 2 weeks? What do we have due in the next month? Again, this is where this tool is very, very powerful in making sure, you can plan and prepare and keep track of all of the items that will be, taking place throughout the semester. Same thing is going to go with your reporting. Again, would encourage you all, go into each of these when you get into ASANA for each area and see what is being asked. What is the membership meeting? Submitting your chapter house occupancy. So for instance, in this one, this will tell you what we want. In the comment section below, please report the maximum number of individuals that could live in the house and the number of individuals that will be living. So it can be as simple as 25 could live in and 24 will be living in the house. And then, hit comment and that will be added. Or it could be as simple as, NA so that gets to the point of, well, you don't have a chapter house. It doesn't necessarily apply to your chapter, but you've acknowledged that, you've read the task and you're able to click off that task. So, in this case, we put in our answer here. So this is where I want to get to this task here. We supplied the information needed. Now I'm just going to click over here. When you click on mark complete a task, now that task is completed. So you know that you no longer have to do that task. And if you notice, once you have completed a task, it grays it out. So, that kind of lets everyone know that that task is done as well. So the green check mark and, the graying out says we've completed that task and we can move on down the line. Again, for the rest of the reports, think about who would be doing these reports, who would be responsible for completing the fall officer report. Is that a secretary? Is that anyone else in the, one of the vice presidents? Grade reports, is that an academic chair? Is that going to be a secretary? Again, be thoughtful about who you are assigning to these tasks and who will be most responsible, or who will be heading up the team that needs to complete these tasks. For the fall recruiting and initiation tasks, again, review these, submit your number of certified recruiters. That would be certified through Fired Up, which if you need more information on that, Travis Smith will be a great resource to ask about fired up certified recruiting. What's your fall recruitment goal? Your number of pledges that you're trying to get for the fall. We'll ask this in the winter and the spring as well. After initiation, I'll reach out to each chapter, just make sure you've confirmed the fall initiates. If you had, 20 pledges and 18 initiated, 2 did not, we need to know that information. Early on in the year, you should know, what is our fall initiation ritual date going to be? That's where you input this information. And then again, last day your chapter accepts fall pledges new members, and making sure that folks are completing tightrope within 2 to 3 weeks of receiving, or accepting their offer to join the fraternity. And some tasks related to officer elections and transitions. These are very important, where you'll want to schedule a transition consultation with your chapter liaison from our office, just to talk about the process. Maybe you have a great process in place. Maybe you have questions about how it could be more effective. That's a great conversation to have with your liaison from the national office. Again, let us know what your fall election date is. So, here, this is one we don't know until we get the information from you. So you can just put in here, I'm going to assign that to myself, and initiation is going to be November 15th. So now we know when to expect initiation to happen, and we can keep tabs on that. And then you want to have a fall transition meeting as well if you have elections in the fall. And again, the activity log that we hit on earlier. In the fall, if you need to submit an intellectual engagement plan, this will give you the information you need to do that, and the link about the policies regarding the need or not of an intellectual engagement plan. And for SciU Cares, which is a very important program, where you encourage participation in service and philanthropy events that are raising awareness around mental health issues. So that should be in addition to the regular philanthropy and service that you're doing throughout the year. But this is where you can, log all of the things that you're doing, and it can be as simple as, adding a task. So we'd ask you to put in the task, and then the description, just, tell us about what you did. So that's how you can add things here too. It's just add a task. And then when that comes up, you can name it, and then just give us a little bit of information about what you did, either around the SciU Cares initiative, or in general service and philanthropy that your chapter does, either events you host or events you participate in that raise money or awareness for causes from your chapter or for other chapters. But we want to know that type of information, and it'll be much easier to do your end of year news and service report if you've been keeping a log of what your chapter's been doing throughout the semester. So going back up, that's really, I want to give you an overview of what the fall would look like. And really the winter and spring are going to be exactly the same. Just for the winter and spring, there might be 1 or 2 differences, but that's how you can look at the different things and the different tasks, different responsibilities that your chapter has throughout the semester and throughout the year. Again, most important, make sure someone is assigned to every task, and make sure there's a due date put to every task that we need to know when that's going to be completed. So I'm going to go through here and make some adjustments. I'll go ahead and assign this to me as we'll say I'm the Archon. So one thing I want to point out is with just taking a quick look and the list view, if you go through this with your chapter and all of a sudden you see red, that means that's an indicator that these are overdue. So these two tasks, they are overdue and they were not completed. So if you see red on your list view, then that's something you need to make sure that you bring to the attention of whoever is assigned to those, or if someone needs to be assigned, you get someone assigned. Red is overdue, and that means we need action on that as soon as possible. Now, if we go to so now we have a couple items that you see a day of the week. So you don't see a date, but you see a day of the week. That means that task is going to be due within the next 7 days. So you're looking at within the next week, something needs to be done on these tasks. So, just wanted to give a quick overview of that on how you can tell just by taking a look at this list view where you stand, taking a quick view at things. Okay, I see a Friday. That means this is coming due pretty soon. We need immediate action. And again, the red means, hey, we're overdue and this was not complete. So if you see those and then you take action, then make sure someone is assigned, and then go ahead and simply complete these tasks. So once those are completed, you'll see the red went away because it's done. And same with these. Sometimes you get a beautiful flying rainbow animal. And again, now we know these tasks are done. We don't need to worry about those. And the next thing we need to worry about for international in-person events will be booking our travel and submitting award recommendation letters. So now we've got some of these tasks that have folks assigned. We have due dates assigned to those. Some things that we built in this year that I think are alternate ways to get a very good look, and that you can direct your executive team to get a look at what they need to take care of, is up here next to list, we have our 2-week view. So our 2-week view is going to show us everything that is due within the next 2 weeks and the status of those tasks. So right now we can see that we've got to get our fall ASANA setup and use expectations. For this case, that's really just going in and making sure you understand what the expectations are. If you've done that, you can even click those complete from here. And I know there's an Archon Town Hall on September 4th. So we have that coming up within a week. So make sure that we're getting the right people in line with that, to make sure that, if it's myself as the Archon, I know to have that on my calendar, or if I can't make it, that's where I'm going to figure out, I need to get in touch with Steven and make sure Steven can make it to that town hall. And that's how you can take a look with this 2-week view, is going to give you an idea of what items they're not overdue yet, but we need to pay attention to these right now. So your 2-week view, I think, is going to be a very helpful view. Again, executive team meeting, or if individuals just want to see where they're at, they can go into the 2-week view and see what's coming up in the very near future. Overdue items. So right now we don't have any overdue items, but if you go to the overdue button here, this will give you an idea of everything that's overdue. And these are going to become your urgent items. If it's something you didn't turn in, if you haven't turned in an officer report, if you haven't scheduled your membership review meeting with me at the international office, the overdue section here is really going to give you that, hey, we need to get caught up and get cleaned up, so we're on pace to meet all of our targets throughout the semester. The next one is the me column. So this will be for each individual. Once they get in here, they can see what is it that I'm specifically responsible for or making sure it gets done. And now we can see that, I have, quite a list here, and most of these didn't show up on the 2 weeks of the overdue. So I know I've got time, but this will allow me to sit and plan now too. Hey, what's most important? what needs to be done now, and then create your priority list from there. And again, it's just another way to allow you to stay ahead on the items that have been tasked or assigned or delegated to you. And that's where I really point your, the folks that you delegate tasks to, this will probably be a very good tab for them to manage the work that they specifically have to do without having to go through every single task that the chapter as a whole has to do. And then the last one I want to talk about here is completed. So this will just show you, hey, give you a progress report, show you how you're doing good. Different items are done, and, a chance to celebrate your successes, make sure that you're keeping track of those as well. So again, the completed will show you all of the completed tasks for the chapter. The Me tab will show the individual who's logged in on that one, on that account, I guess, will show them what they specifically need to do. The overdue, again, sorry, there aren't any in here for the sake of this example, but it'll show you what is overdue for the semester or the year. And then your 2-week view. Hey, what's coming up in the near future that we really need to make sure we get on that, or get the right people on that to make sure we don't miss our mark. And then back to our list. So I really hope that those tabs will be helpful as you, again, once you've delegated tasks, once you start working through the semester, again, you have to find what works for you. Different individuals might like different views. Just some others that we have up here. And again, whatever works best for your situation, but the board view is just going to give you, kind of broken down by the sections. Timeline is going to give you a view. Once it comes up here, kind of letting you see things, on a weekly basis throughout the months. Hey, we got some stuff here, but then, hey, we got a lot of stuff coming up, October 1st, we're gonna have a lot of things due here. We need to make sure we're organized so we can, prepare to meet these marks. Calendar, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Again, you can just go through and see on a weekly and day-to-day basis the items that are due here. Again, October 1st is going to be a busy day. Do we have all of our ducks in a row to make sure we get these things done? And then dashboard, this will just give you some status on how you're doing. Maybe a good metric to look at, as you progress through the semester, middle of semester, end of semester, how are we doing? And a way to hold yourself and your chapter accountable to the items that are needing attention or needed attention is just another view. But I really think, again, showing you those that list 2 weeks view, the overdue view, the individual view, which is the Me view, and the completed view will be, I think, they're new this year, and I think they're going to be great additions to the resources you have within Asana. Let's see, one other thing, again, as I go through this, another thing I don't think I mentioned, but I want to make sure I do, again, is, for instance, for the fall officer report. So a few of the reports, the fall officer report, the new member report, and a grade report, we have a template that we want you to use for that. And if you scroll down, here's the template you need, and simply click on download. You'll open the template. And then this is what you can fill out with your information. I hope that came up on your screen. But again, you'll fill out all the necessary information. Save this to your file so you have a copy of it as well. But then all you need to do within this task, so another great thing about Asana is you can attach the reports you need to submit simply by going down to the attachment, selecting your file, and hitting comment. Now, that's how I, at the international office, will receive that report. And I'll double check it, make sure everything is correct. So now we have a record of what's been submitted. If changes need to be made, I can shoot you a note, and then you can resubmit that report. But again, this now becomes sort of a repository as well for the items that you submit throughout the year. And someone could go in here and say, okay, Keith hasn't been around because he graduated or whatever. Okay, he submitted the officer report, he submitted the grade report, he submitted the new member report. So again, just wanted to show you that you don't have to email them and attach them. You can attach items directly to the task just by going into the comment section and hitting the attach file or paste an image button. So I know that is a lot of information. Again, the one thing I want to emphasize is, don't let all of the tasks on here, intimidate you or scare you off. It is all very important information. It's all the same things we've asked for in previous years. And really for the fall semester, really by October 1st, you've done most of the heavy lifting for the semester. And I would say by February 1st, you've done most of the heavy lifting for the spring semester. So if you just stay on track, delegate, 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 make sure you delegate tasks to respective, officers or brothers that will be taking care of them. It should really help you run very, very smooth and efficient, throughout the course of each semester in the year. One other thing I do want to point out, at the very bottom, you've got your recruitment resources. So again, these are just things that are in here: recruitment marketing, recruitment tracking, certification training, creating a recruitment plan, and recruitment ideas and resources. I would recommend you look at these, especially if you review this information before you really get heavy into rush. If it's too late now, if you have a spring rush, these are all great things to be getting into and checking out these resources. Travis Smith is going to be from our international office, is going to be an outstanding resource for you and the go-to for your recruitment questions. But I would certainly make sure you pay attention to the recruitment resources that are down here. And then as we get down here, you see add a section. So, the one thing we don't want you to do is, again, change any preset dates that the national office has put in, or, don't delete a task. So even if a task does not apply to you, don't delete the task from the sections above. But Asana has the ability, you can make this your own. So maybe you have 2 or 3 different ways you're tracking on things or tracking on throughout a semester or a year. You can add your own sections here. So maybe you want to put, a chapter meetings folder or chapter meeting agendas. And then, just put in here then all you need to do is go in to your comments and attach that agenda. So now you know what your agendas were, or chapter meeting minutes, IFC. You can have an IFC task if you wanted it. So again, feel free to make Asana your own as well. Make it tailored to the specific needs of your chapter, or if it's a more efficient or better way to have a one-stop shop for your chapter to keep track of all the important items you need to keep track of. So again, wanted to point out how you can add your own sections here above and beyond the sections that we've already put in throughout the fall and the spring. And if turns out you don't need it, you can just click on these 3 dots and delete that section. So I know I went through a lot of information here. I'll throw it to Stephen if you're still available. Anything I'm missing here, Stephen, that I should discuss?
I think the one thing that I wanted to touch on was making this is a connection to say this is a management tool for you as an Archon or a chapter leader. And if I were in your role, the way I would be utilizing this on like a day-to-day basis in terms of making sure we're meeting deadlines and things is to take 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the start of each one of your EC meetings. Look at those 2-week tabs, make sure that the people that have things upcoming know they have them, have a plan to get them completed. Look at that overdue tab on a weekly basis just to check in and make sure that you haven't missed anything. The other thing I really want to highlight is, Keith, if you could scroll to one of those activity log tasks. Yeah. I would, in that 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of every EC meeting, just make entries for anything that happened that week. Brotherhood events. We had a really successful recruitment event. If people have pictures, attach those as comments. And then when it's time to submit news and service reports, you don't have to sit down and think about what did we do this semester. You have a complete list of everything you did that then can be translated into that narrative report very easily. News and service reports have been a challenge for some chapters, and so this was one of the ways we were looking at how can we give you a tool to make that easier. So again, 5-10 minutes at the beginning of every EC meeting that you have. Do your checklist, look at the 2 weeks, the overdue, make sure we're keeping up on things, but also take the few minutes to log the things that you have done since the last time you've been in here as a chapter, so that you have that repository of knowledge. It's hard to sit down in December or May and remember what you did in September and January. If you have it written down here, you don't have to do that. It's easier to then just say, oh yeah, I completely forgot we did that. We should put that in our news and service report. So that was the the practical management side of how can we make this tool work for us on a day-to-day basis that I was really thinking about too.
No, thanks, Stephen. That's a great point. And I think just to add to that, exactly what Stephen's saying, keep track of things throughout the year, but the most important thing when you're doing that is be specific. Don't just give us, hey, we hosted a cornhole tournament. Give us specifics. Hey, we hosted a cornhole tournament. Keith Willard and Stephen Exley spent 4 hours, organizing and executing the event. We had, 45 brothers attend. We invited, Alpha sorority and Beta sorority to join us. We raised money for Habitat. We raised money for Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $5,000. Really give us the specifics, because just to tack on to what Stephen was saying, then it becomes a copy and paste for that news and service report, which, not to get off, on a tangent here, but that news and service report is a required report and is shared as part of your chapter history at the convention. So every other chapter will see your news and service report that shows, what exactly did your chapter do throughout the year. And it's really a chance to brag on yourself. We know all the chapters are doing great things, but you've got to take the time to memorialize that, so that you can accurately put that in the news and service. And just like Stephen said, this is a great spot for that. And just like with ASANA in general, the hardest part, and by hardest part I mean probably 30 minutes to an hour, which is getting everybody into the system, just getting everybody comfortable with the system, and then taking the time to sit with your EC and talk through, okay, I'm thinking this is who this task should go to, this task should go to this person, the next task should go to this person. You're going to spend that 30 minutes to an hour, then the payoff is going to be on the back end where everything starts running smooth because you took that time up front. And again, when you have a transition of officers, it's going to be very important to go through that whole exercise again to make sure that next semester gets set up for success. And keeping track on, when you have that routine meeting, like Stephen said, for 10, 15, 20 minutes at the start of an executive committee meeting, somebody, if you have to replace it or you replace one officer, you can then assign those appropriate tasks to the person that will be taking their spot. So even if it's outside of an election, you're keeping track with, who needs to be doing things, and it just prevents things from slipping through the cracks. And it's speaking to an archon. This lets the international office know, because we can see this. We know who is responsible for things. So if we need to reach out to Travis Smith for an officer report, I don't have to bother the archon that has nothing, that has other things to do. I can go straight to Travis Smith and say, hey Travis, the officer report was due October 1st. We're a few days late. Can you please get that to me ASAP? So again, as an archon, by taking time to delegate and getting those delegated responsibilities into this system, we can be more efficient with our communication from the international office to going directly to the source that we need to speak with or ask for information. So it will take things off your plate as an archon, but still allow you to make sure everything is rolling along smoothly. But again, it'll just take some things off your plate when you get to the nuts and bolts of the tasks and payments and different aspects of the semester.
Awesome.
So
Yep.
yeah, now that I've added that, that's all I have. And again, if you've gotten to the end of this, I really just want to reemphasize, there is never a bad time to reach out via Asana. That's great. Call, text, set up a Zoom. If you're not sure who to talk to or who to ask a question, please reach out to me, Keith Willard. And if I can't answer your question about Asana or anything else, I will make sure to get you pointed to the right person. But certainly, again, maybe should emphasize this more. At the start of the call, we really are transitioning to Asana being our main tool for communication in relation to reports, to payments, to tasks throughout the year, to make sure that you're in here and doing these items. So, please make sure you are keeping up and keeping track on everything that's in Asana. And it, really, I can almost promise you 100% certainty, this will make your life and your chapter's life much easier.
Couldn't
And
agree
that's all.
more.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you for hanging through with us for this presentation. And we hope it's helpful. And as Keith said, if you need any help with anything, please reach out to somebody at headquarters. Have a great night.